Welcome to my channel. In this video, you'll see how I turn this photo here to this photo here by sharing my whole editing workflow in Photoshop and also using my Purrfect Action Pack. So please do stick around if you want to learn more. Now, before we jump in, I just want to mention that there is a link down below in my description for you to know more about my Purrfect Action Pack. And there is also a free sample pack for you to try it out. So you can download it, see if you like it or not. If you don't, all good. But if you do, there is a full version, like I said, with the link down below in my description. So that being said, let's jump right in. All right, so here we are in Photoshop with this image of Echo. And as you can see on the right, we have the action panel here, my Purrfect Action Pack. So it has quite a lot of actions. First, we do want to start with the foundation. So we have here step number 1, which is the image foundation. Now I'm going to start with the camera raw, where I'm going to do just some basic adjustments. All right, so first is going to be the light. I'm going to bring up the exposure, increase it to about maybe 75 plus 75. Then the highlight, I'm going to bring it down to about minus 60. Then the shadow, I want to bring it up to about somewhere like plus 65. And then the contrast is going to be compensating for that shadow because now it looks kind of flat. So adding some contrast will kind of make it better. So I'm just going to increase the contrast to maybe somewhere around plus 35. Then I'm going to go down to the color tab, bring up the temperature to add more warmth. So maybe somewhere around plus 9. And then the tint, I'm going to increase it as well, or go towards more of the purple because it kind of looks greenish. So maybe around plus 19. All right, that looks good. So I'm going to press OK. All right, so next on the list is going to be removing any distracting elements from your image. So in this image, we do have a few distracting elements, such as the leash, as you can see here going over the log. And we have the color as well, which is typically something I remove, not always, depending on the image. And then we have the mosquitoes around Echo as well. So we'll take care of the mosquitoes first. So I do actually have an action that is specifically made for that. It's called Bug Off. That's the one we're going to use. So I'm going to click on that one here. That's going to automatically choose the brush for me and also the color. So everything is done for you. Now, something I want to mention, it works really well on backgrounds, so like blurry backgrounds where there's not too much details. Wherever there's more details, like on the subject or maybe on the log here, I would use the cleanup brush in that case. So I'm going to go ahead and just brush on the background where there's mosquitoes. And as you can see, it removes them really, really easily. This is one of my favorite actions. It's just so, like, it saves so much time, you know? So just keep going like that, removing all of the mosquitoes. Just gonna make sure there's no more. Now, as I said, for mosquitoes where there's more details, like on the subject, as you can see here, there's one on Echo's tail. So in this case, I'm going to use the cleanup brush action. So I'm going to click on that one here. And I'm going to zoom in, make it smaller, and just remove this here like that. Remove this one as well. There's one here. I can remove this one. I'm also going to remove any eye boogers since I'm there. So I'm just going to use the same brush to remove this here. All right, so now when it comes to removing the leash and the color around Echo's neck, I'm going to use generative fill for most of it, and some of it will be with the clone stamp tool as well. So Basically, generative fill will do a very good job in general, depending on the complexity of what I'm trying to remove. If it's easier or not as complex, then I'll use the clone stamp tool. When it's too complicated, I just use generative fill. It does a pretty good job in general. So let's start with the color and use the selection tool, so the lasso tool here, and make a selection around the color. Just trying to keep it as close to the color as possible. And just go all around like that. Now, I'm going to subtract just this small part here of the fur. And then go ahead and choose Generate Fill here. And I'm going to leave that blank and generate. So I'm going to leave the AI decide for me what's best. All right, so we have now 3 options to choose from. So this is the first one, the second one, and then the third one. So 1, 2, and 3. I think I'm going to go with number 3. Before and after. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and choose that one. Then I'm going to do pretty much the same with the leash all around here. And some of it, I might use the clone stamp tool. So I'm going to show you real quick how I use the clone stamp tool. So first, I'm going to choose the clone stamp tool. And then, for example, if I want to remove this small part of the leash, I'm basically going to select a sample of the image. So I'm going to go ahead and click right here for the sample and then add it. Oh, sorry, I have to add a new layer first. So I'm going to go down here and add a new layer, and then it's going to work. And there you go. Easy peasy. There you go. That's done. So that is how I use the clone stamp tool. So I'm just going to fast forward the rest just because it's going to take too long to just go part by part. So yeah, I'll see you in a few seconds. Now there is some noise in the image which I want to remove or at least make less visible. So if I zoom in, you can see that there is some noise in the background. Now, before we keep going though, I want to flatten the image. So just right click, flatten image. And then I'm going to add a copy layer of the background by pressing Ctrl J. Now at this point, you could use the noise reduction action in the action pack, or for myself, what I like to use is I go into filter and use Topaz Labs Photo AI. This is not a software that comes with Photoshop, but it's very, very good for removing the noise without affecting the details in the subject. So I'm going to go ahead and use that here. All right, so now you can see here, I removed the noise before and after, before and after. So I'm just going to open this one up and bring down the refined details and see how that looks. All right, so I'm fine with that. I'm going to save and go back to Photoshop. All right, so we're back in Photoshop. I'm just going to zoom in to see how it looks. So before and after, before and after. It's looking pretty good. So I'm going to leave it that way. And again, I'm going to flatten the layers. So right click and flatten image. Now, I like to add a little bit more sharpening to the eyes and parts of the face that I want sharper. So I have an action that's perfect for that. It's called sharpening without halos. So this way you're not over sharpening, just sharpening enough. And you can always customize if you want. So I'm going to zoom in and then I'm going to go ahead and click on sharpening without halos. Now you get this box here. You can read what's inside and then press continue. And then you can go ahead and just brush wherever you want parts of the face more sharp or anywhere you want sharper. So I'm going to go ahead and add it to the eyes here just to make them pop a little bit more. And maybe on the nose as well. And that's perfect. Just going to zoom out. And then again, I'm going to flatten the image. All the action afterwards, I usually don't use the flatten layers. It's just for the image foundation actions. After that, just I keep going until I'm finished editing. All right, so all the foundation is now done. Now we can get to the fun stuff. So we're just gonna go down on the panel here, on the action panel, and go to the image balance tools. So here, I'm gonna start by doing the clipping in the highlights and the shadows. So just on top of that, we have the real-time clipping, which is basically something you have in Camera Raw or Lightroom, but you don't have it in Photoshop just like this here. So if I click on real-time clipping, it's going to create that clipping alert for me for the shadows and the highlights. So the blue being the shadows and showing you where it's clipping. So where you're basically losing details. So to fix that, I actually have an action just below that one, which is called clipping highlights and shadows. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that one. And actually the real-time clipping mask should be on top. So I'm just going to switch it back up here. Now, as you can see, if I remove it, the clipping is visible. And then if I add the fix highlight and shadow clipping, it removes it. So it's actually fixing the highlights and the shadows. So I'm going to remove the real-time clipping mask here. And then the next step is going to be maybe warm up. So let's make this image a little bit warmer. Looking good. Now you can always customize. So I'm going to bring it down just a bit. It's a bit too much for me. Maybe 50% looks good. So before and after, perfect. Now I might add some light up here, this action here. Light up, perfect. You want to see here, maybe just not too much, but 80% looks good. All right, so next one is going to be color cast fixer. So I'm just going to bring down the slider. And I know there is some blue here, blue color cast that I want to remove. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the fix blue color cast. Now I'm going to zoom in and remove some of that blue on the black parts of the fur and the eyes and other parts as well of the image. So first, I'm just going to start with the face, and I'm just going to brush over here. And that's going to remove all the blue color cast from the face here. Now, before and after, as you can see, there was some blue here. And then I'm going to remove it on the log as well. All right, perfect. So now I know there's also some green color cast, which is probably yellow. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the yellow color cast, fix yellow color cast. And just apply it over here under the chin. Before, after, perfect. I'm also going to play the fix green color cast action and brush under the chin as well. Now let's bring down the slider and go to step number 6, which is going to be eye poppers. I'm going to start with enlighten eyes. And this one, I'm just going to zoom in first and just go around the iris. Just brush. And I'm also going to brush on the catch light and do the same on the other eye here. All right. So now, obviously, that's a bit too intense. So I'm going to bring down the opacity. Usually around 30% looks natural. So just going to go back here. Before and after, that looks natural. So next is going to be blackened pupils. With that one, I'm just basically going to add a dab on the pupil. Right here and right here. There you go. And that will just add more depth and more sharpening to the eyes, because contrast is basically your sharpening as well. All right, so let's go down on the panel again. I'm just going to zoom out quickly. All right. Now, let's see in the artistic tools if we have something that we can use to make this image pop a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and use the dreamy brush. I'm going to click on that one here. And this basically is going to add a little bit of blur into my image. So I'm just going to add some, just a little bit around the image, just a few spots here, a few dabs, maybe one on top here. Now before and after, nothing much. And then I can go back here in just the sliders here on the right, double click on that here. And I'm going to bring down the opacity, maybe to somewhere around like 60 or 70%. Before and after, that looks good. Then we're going to go into the diffuse light overlays. I'm going to go ahead and use the golden hour for that image. So I'm going to click on that one here. All right, as you can see, now I have this golden light, which I can move actually. So if I double click over here in the icon here, the gradient icon, now I can go ahead and move that gradient, that sun, wherever I want. So I know the light is coming from the left. So I'm going to go position this right in the corner here. And then I'm going to move the angle towards echo about at this angle, and then the scale, I'm going to bring it up maybe to something like 100%. Yeah, maybe 101%. I'm going to press OK. All right, so now I want to bring down the opacity a bit. Maybe 61%, maybe the fill as well. All right, so before and after. Then I'm going to duplicate this layer and bring down the opacity again to 30% and maybe this one to 65. Double click and bring down the scale as well, 55. All right, that looks good. Not too much, just a bit, just to add a bit more emphasis on the light. All right, now let's slide down a bit and go into shaping the light. So the first one we're going to choose is soft black vignette. So I'm going to click on that one here. And this here, you can basically place it wherever you want. You can make it bigger, smaller. You can turn it around. So what I want to do is basically have the sun, where the sun is coming from. This is where, this is how I want to place it. So the sun is coming from the left again. So basically just trying to have the sun here and the subject as well. So I'm just going to place it this way and then make it a bit bigger. Something like that looks good. And just press OK. All right, so I'm going to make it, I'm going to bring down the opacity a bit because just it's a bit too dark for me. So maybe somewhere around like 60%. And then maybe the fill as well a bit. 75%. Yeah, that's good. All right, so now I'm going to do a soft white vignette or inverted light vignette. All right, perfect. I'm going to just turn around. And exactly where I put the other one is where I'm going to put that one. So that's perfect. Just going to bring down the opacity again. So before and after. Now, next on the list is going to be dodge and burn. So I'm going to click on that here. You can read what's in the box. It basically says to set your brush to 10 to 20%. So continue. Now you already have the brush selected for you and it's black. So you're going to be burning first, or you can switch by pressing X if you want from white to black. So black being burn and white being dodging. So I'm going to bring down the opacity to 10%. All right, so 11% is good enough. I'm going to zoom in. And now since I have the black selected, just gonna go ahead and burn, so add more depth to the shadows. So basically what I'm doing is just following where there's already shadows, and that's going to just add more depth, more contrast, and you're gonna be seeing the difference afterwards. It doesn't look much right now, but as soon as I'm finished, you'll see how much of a difference it actually makes. All right, so now you can see before and after. I'm gonna just tone it down a bit. So bring down the opacity to about 70%. Before and after, that's good. Next up on the list is going to be scene vibes, which is step number 10. So here we have quite a few different kind of filters if you want. The first one I'm gonna use is the contrast pop. All right, so I'm gonna bring that down to 0 and then just go up from there. I usually put it around 20 to 30% usually. I'll go with 30% before and after. Could even go a little bit higher before and after. That's good. Next one is going to be light pop. Bring it down completely to the left and then just go up from there again. All right, now on to the last step, which is step number 11, finishing touches. So the first one is going to be final image boost. I'm going to use that one here. Again, I'm going to bring it down to 0% and then just go up from there. So maybe somewhere around 20, 25% before and after. Subtle change, but that's perfect. And then at this point, I might just add an adjustment layer, which is going to be the color balance. And just see if I leave it that way or just maybe add more of, a different color. So a little bit more reddish, I think that would look good. More on the green or more on the purple. So -2. And then yellow or blue. I think I'll go more towards the yellow, so -2. So before and after, that's perfect. And that is it. Now we only have the final step, which is banding removal. So sometimes when you're using different type of layers, it might add some banding. So using the banding removal action is a great way to finish off your entire editing. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on that. First, I'm just gonna zoom in and see if there is actually some banding going on. It doesn't seem so, but I'm still going to use it just because that's always how I finish my editing. And there you go. That's it. Hope you enjoyed this video and hope it helped you discover my Purrfect Action Pack, and see you on the next video.